The Spanish announce table.
Tom,
Hello.
we had another wonderful date this weekend.
I know. I really like that in 2018, we have flourished a great dating consistency. But this time, we went on a date to see a friend of a podcast that we used to do, Tim and Tom Show, guest on that said podcast, local artist from Kansas City who you can check out on Spotify and all other streaming platforms. I prefer Spotify. That's why I said that and that alone. But his name is The Royal Chief.
You can get a little taste on YouTube. You can look him up too. Yeah, real good.
There you go.
Real
Yeah,
good.
he has some music videos. If you'd like to see him performing.
By the way, in those music videos, you'll get to see all sorts of Kansas City background, little mood setting.
Of course.
There, right?
Yes. So we saw the Royal Chief here in Kansas City, and we went on kind of a double date, except for it was not my fiance, Emily, that was accompanying us because she had a presentation. If you've been a longtime listener of the show, you know she's getting her master's degree from the University of Kansas. She had a 15 to 20-minute presentation she had to give, and she's been preparing all semester for it. So after that, she goes, you know what I'm doing tonight? I'm drinking a big glass of wine, and I'm staying in because I'm exhausted. I said, fair enough. Royal Chief, previous to this day, had reached out to us and said, hey, performing right next to you guys need to come see me. And we said, you know what? It's been long enough. We need to meet face to face. We've talked on Twitter. We've talked on Facebook. We've exchanged happy birthdays and great for yous and, retweets of music videos, all the stuff. But we have yet to meet face to face. So we said, you know what? We're doing it this time. And so we did a double date. You, your wife, me, and your wife's friend.
Karen.
Karen, there it is. And we had dinner, and then after dinner, we walked next door, and we watched a really great performance from Royal Chief. Saw some opening acts before that, and had a great old time. What'd you think?
I enjoyed myself there, and yes, my wife's friend Karen, more accurately described as a sister, I would say, but yeah, long-term friend. Yes, we had a wonderful time. All of us had a blast. We all had some fun, talked to some great people around. You danced, kind of.
Hey, okay, yes, and I did dance, and I did great at dancing. You know why? Let's talk this out real quick on a podcast about pro wrestling. Dancing is all silly.
Great.
It's all silly.
Great.
The Cabbage Patch is silly. The Walk It Out is silly. The Snap Your Fingers is silly. It's
all of those
silly.
are silly. Yes, all of those
It's all
choreographed
it's all
things.
silly. Yeah, no, it's all silly. What's the thing now? The whip and nae nae, is that still a thing? That's silly.
Well, you're talking about any dance that like groups of people are going to go out and do at a bar like that are silly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we were at a bar.
Yeah.
In a group setting.
Yes.
And so
well, you
got
said
my
the
little
term
band.
all dance is silly, and I mean that's such
all
a
dancing
broad.
is silly.
Okay, all right.
No. All dancing is silly. The only thing that matters about dancing is confidence. If you do it with confidence, people will buy it. And so I got out there with my fanny pack on, and I shaked my hips, and I did it confidently, and I got people to say nice dancing, and I thought it was spectacular.
Those people said nice dancing.
Got three compliments on my dancing.
Those words came out of their mouths. Nice
Got
dancing.
3 compliments about my dancing.
Usually
Tim?
accompanied with laughter. Usually with fits
Hey,
of laughter.
it doesn't matter, okay? You know? If the music plays, I'm shaking my hips.
It takes special skill to also dance well and comedically entertain the onlookers. I mean, that takes a lot of focus and skill. I mean, you must have practiced that.
And I did. I perfected it to the best of my abilities. And so, yes, I enjoyed dancing alongside the Royal Chief's music. Fun fact about his concert. He does a really great job as holding a crowd. His concert was not as so he's known as a rapper, which if you listen to his music, he definitely raps. But it felt more as of a R&B show. Would you agree?
Oh,
It
I
didn't
agree,
feel
yeah.
as much of like a we're jumping up and down, yeah, throw them bows, bitch. It was like
It wasn't
hey, man.
thumping bass to where you couldn't hear anything. You weren't packed
Yeah.
in tight, elbow to elbow, and it was just going.
Yeah.
Right? And
It
you're just like,
was-
what's he saying? I can't understand. Right.
Right. He held the microphone appropriately. You understood his lyrics because he talked into the microphone as an adult should. His music was at a good quality to, like you said, where it wasn't thumping. You're like, hey, the earwax in my head is just jumbled around. That's all
Yeah.
you're doing to me.
He didn't scream into the microphone because the
Yeah,
microphone.
he didn't pull a Nia Jax
Yeah.
and scream into the microphone. He did a really great adult performance, and I thought it was great. I even hugged him.
Yeah.
I hugged the Royal Chief. Ha! You didn't. Not you, Tim. I'm just
But-
saying. The
no, I
listeners.
did. He gave me a dap
I
and,
know.
oh yeah, and he called me by my Instagram handle, which is fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was great.
So, which just means he doesn't know my name. And then, so I wanted to give a fun tip for anybody listening. We've said this before. This is a Spanish announce table public service announcement. You never have to scream into a microphone. Like if you're hyping up a crowd, or if you're, you know what I mean, like you're rapping, aspiring rappers and stuff. You can change your voice inflection and get excited and get everybody involved, right? And get everybody on board. You don't have to scream into the microphone, everybody. That's what it does for you, right? Like it's doing the shouting for you. If you shout
is.
into it, you've created a problem for the listeners over here. So anyway, the concert was fun. Royal Chief was great. Very, like you said, very welcoming. The opening acts, you know what I mean? We'll say mixed results. If you were there and if any of the people there were to ask, obviously we would have our own. You guys weren't there, so we won't bore you with that. But I think the singer, the lady that was singing, was really good. Had a good guitar
she was
player.
fantastic.
Yeah, the
And
guitar
if you
player was
listen to
good.
Royal Chief's music after this recording of Spanish Announce Table and want to listen to his music, any of the female vocals is the singer that we saw opening up for him on Friday night. So yeah, she was spectacular.
He
I would say-
also. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, of all of the opening acts, which I think he had 3, she was the most impressive.
Yeah.
And then obviously Royal Chief is a very good singer or rapper, entertainer, however you want to say it. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
an overall very fun night.
Yeah, he
What
also
else
even
did you do this weekend?
he also even reached out the next day and thanked us, assuming he did the same to you, and thanked us
Yeah.
for coming out. Isn't that fun?
It is fun.
It's fun. Yeah. I'm on my week off, Tom. This is Thursday for anybody playing along here when we're recording this. And Monday I will be starting the new job. So I've had this whole week off and been
How's it
enjoying
been?
that. Been good. I mean, I've been getting in a lot of appointments so that I won't have to, do that early on in the new job and that kind of thing. So it's been not necessarily, I'd say, rest and relaxation or anything like that. Been getting some stuff done. But my wife's birthday fell during that time, and so we managed to go out and go down. We went to Cafe Gratitude down in the.
Did you order a grateful or a spectacular? Because they always
I
name
did
all
a
of their things
mucho.
after emotions.
Mine was a mucho. And then Eternally Blessed, which was the coffee.
Good night.
Milk.
I love it. Yeah, it's a vegan restaurant. It's a chain. It's available in other cities across the
Yeah,
country.
but not many.
Right, not many. It's not like a Taco Bell, but
Right.
it is a chain. I love their food. Very good vegan options, especially in a city like Kansas City, which
all
is known for barbecue.
plant-based.
Yeah, all
Right.
plant-based. So it's a good alternative to the, hey, I don't want to feel heavy after my meal. One thing, though, that just we don't eternally grateful.
Yeah.
Guys, just call it a damn coffee. I get it,
Right.
but also
Yeah.
can we kind of pump the brakes a little bit,
What I did like was they have a question of the day that they ask. Right? That's fun, right? I don't even
Do you remember what
no,
your
I
question of the day was?
I don't at all. I don't know. We also stopped at some coffee house / bakery thing somewhere around there too. I really don't remember the name of that one either. To be honest with you, my wife was kind of leading the charge on that since it was our day, right? Where do you want to go? And we
Was
did
it
all that.
near where I live? Was it called Mud Pie?
No,
39th Street?
It's in this building that has like multiple floors. It looks like, and then like the open. You walk in and it's all open. Like the bakery's over there, like making the bread. You can kind of see that in like open air, and then like It's got several floors that you can walk up several flights of stairs, and then there's like other seating up there and stuff. So we stopped there for a little bit.
If you talk to your wife, ask her what the name
Yeah,
was.
I'll have to pull up what the name of that was because it wasn't bad. So we did all that, you know. I mean, just kind of took that one easy, and then later that night went out to eat with the kids and that kind of stuff. Kind of did a lighter one because she's going to go out with Karen, and then Karen's twin sister. Those are the twins that we talked about before, and then their other longtime friend. They're going to all go do something crazy, big time. So we took it light on our end. What else, man? I think that was it. That was really it because I'm just preparing, man, getting ready to psych myself into the new job, you know?
There you go. I like it. Starting off with a fresh start, a week to recharge, get back into the workforce, and get after it. Impress the new employer.
Yeah, I'm just going to remember to shave.
That's hard to do. That is hard to do.
Yeah, well, and then you got to reach the balls. You know, it's tough.
It's
tough.
difficult.
It's tough. What about you?
So after our date, the rest of the week was filled with exercising, and at my job, we rebranded. So we went from RFP 365 to RFP 360. So initially the owners wanted to call the company RFP 360. At the time, the domain was for sale for an astronomical number of like $8,000, something stupid.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
By the way, check out our website, SpanishAnnounceTable.net.
Right. Exactly. So it was very much like what we've experienced with the .net.com thing. But RFP 365 at the time of their startup creation was like $5. So they're like, let's just do 365. Now we're at a point where the price had went down, but also we're at a point where we could afford that as a company. And again, it's not that dollar amount. So we purchased the RFP 360, went through the process of getting the Facebook, the website, the application, all of that. So my week has been filled in the support role with assisting customers saying, what the hell is this? I went to 365 and now it says 360. What is going on? Well, did you log in? Yeah.
Did you guys get bought out?
Like, yeah. I had one customer. He goes, "Is this a scam? Is this 360 taking my money?" Well, yes, because you're a user, but no, it's still the same company.
I'm going to be walking into a situation too where I was hired by a company who has a parent company who's been buying up, right? And they're all kind of merging together, but mostly under the name of this one, right? It's going from company name X, right? It's X company, right. And now it's going to be X Holdings, right? You know what I mean? Like, because now they hold these, and so
that just throws people off
and I'm
so
gonna be
much.
Going there as that's happened, and I'm going to have the rough time of being like, yes, we were X company. But I don't know anything about it at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now I do, so I can answer questions. But man, I tell you what, you want to confuse old people or just people in general, just slightly change your name, and they will just lose their shit. So that's been my week as far as like the work week has been concerned. One other thing that we did. So as you see, for those with the enhanced radio, we have new merchandise and swag. So I got like a hat, 2 different shirts, a cup, a backpack, all the cool new RFP 360 stuff. But another thing that we do at RFP 360 is once a quarter, we go out into the community and try to help out in some way. And today we went to the city rescue mission. And we filled boxes of food and pamphlets for what to do because the city rescue mission sends out a turkey along with the food, so like they can have a Christmas turkey, I guess. And so we put instructions because some people just like put a turkey out for 3 days and think that's how it's thawed. Obviously not. And so we have pamphlets of that, some information on like what to do if you're part of the working poor, or if you're part of, living assisted housing, things like that. Put all these packages together. So we did that for the second half of our Thursday. So that felt good to help out the community. So we do that once a quarter. Last quarter, we were at Harvesters, and we packaged food up there. And then this time, we went to the City Rescue Mission. I think next quarter, we're going to do something with the Kansas City Pet Project. I think that's been kicked around and kind kind of being researched right now. But yeah, so we did our good deed as a company for the month, or excuse me, for the quarter. And then tomorrow we are celebrating having our company meeting at Beer Station, if you guys know what that is. And we rented out the whole place, and we're gonna celebrate our rebranding and the work week that was at Beer Station. Gonna go through financials and all the hiring and stuff like that because we're a growing company, and have fun there.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, look, a change abounds for all of us, right? We're coming up on the new year. That's going to be a lot of change.
Yeah, and I tell you what, this company is so great. Like, I was at Excelligent for 4 years, and that place fucking sucked a fat one from the back. I hated that place. But this company is just astronomically different. Love it. If you have a need for requests for proposals, Google it if you don't know what it is, and your company needs it, use our software. We're awesome. Anyhow.
So
we don't need to be plugged that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So anyway,
you want to get into some news?
Yeah, let's get into news. Yeah, you want
me to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Let's talk about Tom. Let's see. What do we want to talk about first? Let's go with NXT UK. So there's been a lot of news lately. Obviously, Rhea Ripley is the new NXT UK Women's Champion. They're setting up. They're really getting that thing rolling over there in the WWE. And there's been a lot coming out about some of the new contracts and the deals that they've had where they're going to be putting some of these UK promotions on the network, it sounds, and, use a lot of their talent. So they've got new contracts out for the top stars. And then others, they've allowed them they're going to be able to work UK indie shows, although there's going to be some limits of non-WWE affiliated promotions. But reportedly, and this is the fun one that I like here, WWE's got options to buy several of these bigger promotions in a couple years if they so choose, like ICW and Progress, right? And that would be over the next few years and for a predetermined amount, and some of these are in the high six figures, right? And so that way they would be able to buy it, shut it down so they're no longer competing with themselves, right? So they've basically bought themselves time to get up and running, take the talent they want, pay that person for their trouble, shut them down. And that's how they take over everything.
This feels so much like in the 1980s when Vince McMahon was going around to the central states, since we're in Kansas City, and telling, Bob Geigel, hey, everything's cool, everything's fine. We're going to use this Bulldog Bob Brown guy in our promotion, but you will be totally cool. And then 6 to 1 year later, all of a sudden, Central States is gone.
Done.
So British Pro Wrestling, hey, I like Progress. I don't watch it consistently because, Christ almighty, it's just there's so much to watch that I can't keep up with everything. But everything that I did see when Matt Riddle was there, things like that, I've enjoyed. But if I'm being candid, RIP, you're gone.
Yeah. Here's what I think.
All of these places, they're out.
They're doing this around the world. We're going to have NXT UK, we're going to have NXT Germany, we're going to have NXT Australia, and they're going to be the feeder system. And then WWE is going to be there as the main player for everything in the world that fits to come over and do the big stage over here. But, this is the only – if you look at what WWE has done, where they've grown to and what they've conquered, this is the only next thing they could do if they were to keep about their path.
I agree, but I also feel, not to go too far into this story because we've got some other news to talk about and our favorite things of the week, Raw and SmackDown included. But I feel, yes, I agree. This is the next logical step, right, that they can do, because it's like, what else, right? However, I also feel like, hey, maybe we're overreaching. Now, I don't feel like this is an apples to apples comparison, but it feels very much like when WCW Nitro was killing it and just doing awesome, and then they added Thunder, right? And they were just like, well, what do we do with Thunder? And I'm not saying that WWE is not capable of figuring out what to do with WWE or NXT UK and NXT Brazil and NXT Asia and all this stuff. However, I do feel like, a Hershey's Kiss one a day is good, right? If I had one Hershey Kiss a day, that's great. You know what's not great? 6 bags of Hershey Kisses a day, right? Eventually, I'm going to get oversaturated with this, and then what I'm doing is then I'm just saying, you know what, it's too much, and I go away.
Yeah,
right?
Never again.
Yeah. So I feel like, if we're using the Hershey Kiss analogy, I feel like we're at 4 Hershey Kisses a day, which is like not horrible, but it's also like if you told a friend that, they'd be like, "Really, man? 4 Hershey Kisses a day?"
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, you might,
and
hey,
you
try
do
a steak.
and you do a podcast about Hershey's Kisses, dude. That sounds
Right.
like a lot. All right.
Yeah. And so I feel like with this step of taking over the UK and things like that, we're getting to a point where the business model or just the company we get sour on because it's content over storylines, and then we all just go away because now we want an alternative.
Well, and another angle to think about too is that, like, yeah, it's WWE's thought process is we take over the world, right? We squat. It's corporate. That's how corporations work all around the world now. It's squash every bit of competition, buy them up, eat them up, swallow them up, get all of the profits to us in our service or product, right? Great. Great. Sure. I think we could do some things to check the abuses of that, but whatever. They're going to do that. And sure, okay. So will that make a great feeder system all around the world for WWE, and will that make their global network great? So will that make access to the WWE network and wrestling all around the world easier for everybody? Yeah. But it'll make the entire wrestling industry run through the eyes of the WWE machine. Like, there will be no alternative product at that point. Like, there's no there's no way for them. Like, they've been great at times in the past of catching on to what the hot thing was outside of them and going, oh, this is the next thing, right? The ECW turned into the Attitude Era, right? Examples of that all abound in WWE, right? So you're going to lose that if you don't have any option to look at, right, to see what they're doing and improve upon it. So, yeah, I don't know where you go from that, but we'll see.
I don't either, but we will find
it's gonna
out
happen.
for sure.
They're not being stopped. There's nothing to stop them. So
the only thing that's going to stop them is sabotage and miscalculations from within.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, what do you got? You got some news too, yeah?
Well, I've got another potential sabotage and miscalculation on behalf of the McMahon family. XFL. Remember that thing? 20 years ago?
Well, yeah, and the new one's coming.
Yeah, so the new one is coming back in 2020, and today they announced the city and stadiums for the upcoming season. Now, I won't go through the stadiums, although I will state kind of in a generality, it seems like these stadiums are way too big for a first inaugural season of a football league that has a sour taste and then isn't reestablished. I'll just say that generally speaking. But here are the XFL cities. We have XFL New York, XFL Dallas, XFL Houston, XFL LA, XFL St. Louis, XFL Seattle, XFL Tampa Bay, and XFL DC. Now, of all of those cities, only one does not have an NFL team, and that's St. Louis. And
because they've lost two of them.
Right. Well, and XFL Los Angeles has 2 football teams from the NFL that no one goes to.
Yeah.
And
they would have gone, at least, though, to the Raiders if you would have moved them back, but you didn't. But whatever.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's, to me, as a football fan, there's a lot of missteps, generally speaking.
I read.
For one,
go ahead.
Yeah, for one, XFL New York, whatever that New York team is, really? You think people are going to go to an outside stadium from February, March, April? That's going to be rain and cold and miserable. And you have a TV deal, so guess what they're going to do? They're just going to watch it on TV.
And let's bank this, right? Because or let's tabulate this. NFL is the A team, right? College football is going to be the B team. Your C team at best, and there's this other football league also coming out with major investors in NFL. People coming along. That's going to come out before you. That is also mentioning some innovative fan interactions like you are too. Man, you might have got beat to the punch on this thing.
And on top of that, generally speaking, there's a ton of older demographics that are football fans that remember how much of a joke, for lack of a better term, the first XFL was. So you think they're going to give a second chance, just like you said, with NFL being the A team, college football being the B team, this other league beating you to the punch, and then on top of that, people have a sour taste in their mouth of what you did the first time around. Yikes.
Well, and let's discuss some financials here, Tom, because this is my part to add to the story, that this is not specifically attributed to the XFL. However, Vince McMahon sold 306,000 shares of WWE stock on November 30th, worth $22.8 million. Now, if you'll remember, McMahon sold $100 million worth of his stock to fund XFL parent company, the Alpha Entertainment Company, last year. McMahon is reported as saying he intends, or he expects, to spend an additional $500 million in the first 3 years of operations. McMahon currently still owns, you want to guess how many shares he owns of WWE stock?
Oh, I don't. To be honest with you, shares are over my head, but I'm going to guess 500 million.
So he just sold 306,000 shares worth $22.8 million. He currently owns 31,887,375 shares of WWE stock worth almost $2.4 billion at today's stock price. Well, whatever day that article was that I read.
Yeah.
God. Now, this is all his money. He's not taking this from the company. So, whatever, bro.
Exactly. Hey, do what you want. And you're, 97 years old or whatever? I'm joking there.
Hey,
but
Bill Snyder retired from college football, Vince. You ought to get a clue here. Aren't you about the same age? I mean, really here.
The only thing that I think the XFL has in their back pocket that will make them innovative and maybe cutting edge over the NFL, college football, and this other new league that I can't remember the name of, is they have a track record with the WWE network where they established. So Netflix is the streaming service, gold standard, right? But you know what Netflix doesn't not do at all? Live events.
Right.
You know who is the gold standard for that?
WWE.
To a certain extent, Major League Baseball, but also the WWE, right? And so with WWE and their resources with the network, you would imagine
there's a play.
They can do the that's what I'm saying. You can imagine they'll say, hey, let's take the model of the WWE network. Now, they don't have the XFL, the catalog and history as the WWE does. However, let's do a live streaming service that we know is going to work, because now in 2018, rolling into 2019, the WWE network not working isn't a thing anymore.
It's rare if ever.
Yeah, right. When you tune into Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, whatever the
barely
event
a
is,
hiccup.
You assume it's going to work seamlessly. So the only thing that I think they have a step on the competition, even the NFL, is we can bank on that we're going to provide live entertainment in different cities, and after this football game is done, we can catalog it and put it on demand as soon as it's over, so that if you weren't there at noon, you can watch it at 6 p.m. at night.
His advantage, being McMahon, is the 50 years experience of being a major media distribution and conglomerate company. I mean, just massive in terms of moving and producing content for sale. WWE is better than a light years better than almost any company you could name. I mean, it's just intense. I mean, they rival Sony for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like of just
Disney,
throwing stuff out there. Yeah. So yes, but again, you're coming late, man. There's nothing stopping this other company that's outside the NFL, or even the NFL, also working with the same company that made the MLB network, which is what you did. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever they call the MLB app or whatever that is, right? Whatever, at bat or whatever. So look, I mean, there some of that isn't proprietary for you. You know what I mean? You could lose out on that before you get a chance to play your card. So
Definitely. But I just see that is one thing where they don't necessarily have to troubleshoot or anticipate
Oh yeah.
snags. They can say,
Yep.
we've got confidence that this is going to work.
Plus they're a traveling live operation constantly.
Right.
So yeah, they know what it'll entail to get logistics of teams flying to other cities and hotels and all that. Like, oh, we already know how to do that. We got that covered. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And the other thing that I think will work into their advantage, but again, that sour taste that the general public, at least in America, I don't know how it's viewed internationally, but in America, is XFL was a joke. It was stupid. It was edgy for no reason. It had up the skirt shots of the cheerleaders and all of that. They are going to go away from that. They've kind of even said, like, we're going to be a more family-oriented show. Okay, great. However, I applaud them for saying, like, what didn't work the first time, we're going to go away from. Like, we're not doubling down on the no kickoffs and things like that. But like you said, I agree with you. There's so many options, especially in the NFL. I was telling you this off air. I feel like the NFL has the model down. Now, is there chinks in the armor? Of course, right? There's, the concussion protocol. There's safety issues, things like that. However, it's very much like NASCAR, right? Like when you say circle racing with cars, it's NASCAR. It's called NASCAR.
It's NASCAR.
You don't call it driving in a circle, right?
UFC runs into this. Like you have to tell people, like, the sport is not UFC. That's just the company name.
It's MMA, right? And exactly, it's race car driving. And it's not NASCAR. But when you say football, it's NFL, right? Like I want to be an NFL player. You don't say I'm going to be an XFL player. Now, can that change over the course of 10 years? Yeah. Well, let's be honest. This is going out of business in 2022.
Just surprised they didn't come up with a different name. Surprised he even.
Yeah. Call it Alpha Football League, AFL.
Well, But anything, something, man, something. I don't know, it seems weird.
Seems weird. You got another one?
Yeah, I do. We're gonna stick kind of on this WWE and their logistics and how they handle this. The Wrestling Observer is reporting that WWE will begin running 2 separate production crews for Raw and SmackDown when SmackDown moves to Fox in 2019. Raw is going to run their Monday shows and a Sunday house show, and the SmackDown crew will run Fridays and then Saturday house show. Now, WWE also reportedly wants this so that they can begin airing the house shows on the WWE Network on a more regular basis. So it's no longer a house show then. But
it'll be a stripped down version of,
they call those, they don't even call them house shows officially. They call them WWE live events. So, and that could be interesting. So any given Friday, if, for people who are super bored, you get, I don't know. I'm never going to watch in Poughkeepsie, New York, a fucking house show.
Yeah, if you go to Des Moines, Iowa, and tell me WWE Live is going to air a show at noon on Saturday, I don't give a shit.
No, I would rather you, give an option to, like you're doing there in England. Give these other local promotions a chance to be on your network, and I'm going to watch that and get great. And then, you're going to get more subscribers and sell ads against it, right?
But if you just tell me that it's a cage match between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles for the WWE Championship Saturday at noon from, Omaha, Nebraska, well, I fucking know what is going to happen. I'm not tuning into that.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not going to go into that.
That's the thing. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, and I definitely am. And so tweet the table and let me know how tired you are of hearing of this comment, but it still holds true. They're choosing content over stories and substance. So what they want is for you to be bored, right? And on a Saturday, and for you being a college football fan, college football's over now, right?
Right.
And so what they're wanting you to do is fill that time that you were watching K-State football with a house show from Miami, Florida, or whatever it is, right? And so they're choosing the content, hey, he turned on, or he or she turned on the network for another hour this week, right? But as a viewer, as a person who is trying to be entertained by what I'm seeing on my mobile device or television, it fucking sucks.
It's bad. It's not good. It's boring.
But
it's
again,
slow.
but you can go to the advertisers and you can say, hey, Gushers or whatever, Surge Soda, whatever the fuck their advertisers are, AutoZone, and say the average person watches WWE Network for 11 hours a week. And they don't fucking care that you're not entertained. They just care that you're conditioned like Pavlov's dog theory.
Of course not, right.
Turning it on.
No. The only reason WWE would care if you're entertained is because is if they can verify that, hey, them being this much more entertained is going to keep them on longer. But if they don't see that as a reason for you to stop watching it, which apparently some people just don't.
Yeah, well, because they have so much back catalog, right? Like, I know as a WWE Network subscriber since day one, what I use that for, and it's great, the live content, right? And all of these pay-per-views for $9.99. I'm watching more pay-per-views than I ever have in my life. Because back in the day, I'm either trying to illegally download it or just miss it and catch it on Monday on Twitter or whatever, right?
Dirt sheets.
But yeah, dirt sheets and all that. But what I use the WWE Network for, other than those pay-per-views and things like that, is to relive the great moments or share with a non-wrestling fan something amazing, because their catalog is the standard bearer for pro wrestling, right? So if I want to say, like, dude, so there was this one time when they crucified the Sandman, and they go like, no way, they never did. Like, yeah, watch this. And I pull up the ECW and I show Sandman getting crucified by Raven, right? And Kurt Angle, I can tell him the story that he was going to sign with ECW, but because he was so offended by this, being a person of faith, he didn't sign with them. And then he went to WWE, and the rest is history. And they're like, no way, right? Like, I'm doing that. Or, dude, you know who's innovative? The Steiner brothers. You don't believe me? Let's watch 1991 WCW Doom versus Steiner brothers, and I can show you action that if you put it in 2018 would hold and maybe beat some of the competition today, right? That's what I use the network for,
Gotcha.
and that's why I'm never going to cancel it. And so that's where they got me. They always got me with the catalog is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm never – yeah, they got me for that same reason. The catalog is always there. They've got various other random things. Like I can pull up a table for three and be like, oh, I'd like to hear what
Edge and Christian.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So they got
and that's why I can't cancel. Like, I see all of the hashtags because we're so sour on the, we're going to air house shows now thing. But I can't cancel it. It has all the stuff I want. The new stuff is kind of burnt, but I like the Edge and Christian show. I like the whole catalog of ECW. I like the Nitros and Thunders and Starcades and stuff like that. So it's like, you got me by the balls and you fucking know it. And instead of like rewarding me for being a tried and true fan, you just say, well, we are going to get the most out of this shit until you die. And it's like, damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right, well, what else you got? You got another story for me, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do. And I want to share this because we went to the XFL thing and we're talking about, live entertainment, essentially, right? One thing that I just want to rant about a little bit is reported this last Monday, the lowest rated Raw in the show's history. And I understand in 2018, especially for the demographic that is WWE, we consume media differently, right? There's mobile apps, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's blah, blah, blah live and all of this stuff. There's YouTube and things like that. I understand that. So generally speaking, ratings across the board dipped a little bit. However, I'm tired of the narrative from the WWE apologist that says, well, ratings don't matter anymore. Like, since the Attitude Era has died, like, ratings don't matter. Yes, it does.
It sure does.
Everything that gets canceled is based off of ratings.
Ask Fox and USA if they care about ratings.
Exactly. So please do not tell me that ratings don't matter. And I get DVR and, on demand and all of that stuff is a thing that is not accounted for in a rating system. However, live entertainment, as I mentioned, across the board has dipped a little bit, but not by much. If you go back to the 2016 election, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had astronomical numbers for their debates. 2 years ago, the the NFL had overall for their season the highest ratings for an entire season. Now, not per game, but if you took everything into consideration, that season was higher rated than any other season in football history. When the basketball, the last 4 years, it's been Golden State and Cleveland. The first 2 years had an increase each time, and the third year had an apex. The fourth year it dropped off, and you know why? Because things were expected. We knew that Golden State was the better team. So that is why, in my opinion, WWE's ratings continue to fall. It's not that live entertainment isn't something that we watch on a traditional cable outlet anymore, because we definitely do, as I just mentioned with all of the data from the debates and NFL and World Series and NBA Finals. It's when you give us a product that we know what's going to happen, we're not going to care.
I do not have to watch Raw live or else I'm going to miss something and everything's going to be ruined for me. Because even if I get spoiled by something on Twitter, it probably wasn't that big of a deal anyway. It wasn't that shocking. It wasn't that envelope pushing. It wasn't anything of note.
And the other thing that I think that they should look at is when you give us a shocking moment and you pop a rating, right? Like Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins the night that Roman Reigns had announced that he had leukemia. That's a big shocking moment. And so the next week, the rating popped up, right? Because we go like, oh, shit, we got to see what's happened. But when you don't follow through and you lower the expectations, we go, at least for me, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I'll just say, hey, I'll just watch this now and see if anything trends on Twitter. And if it does, then I'll tune in. But if it doesn't, I'm good. But you know what I don't miss? You know what I don't miss at all? SmackDown. SmackDown consistently gives me things I want to watch. And that is the point I want to make about the live entertainment.
Okay.
Anyhow, I have one other quick story for you. And this is kind of sad, and so I'll make it brief because if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know the details, so I will not bore you or insult your intelligence. However, I think it is important to note this week we lost two legends of the pro wrestling industry, Dynamite Kid and Larry the Axe Hennig. What are your thoughts when I say Dynamite Kid or Larry the Axe Hennig? Anything come to mind?
Larry the Axe Hennig was a little bit before me still. So, I mean, Mr. Perfect was like one of my dudes growing up, you know,
right.
And so I knew the name Larry the Axe Hennig because of him. Dynamite Kid, I really only knew too because also when I was real young and you know, that the British Bulldogs were around, it was at the tail end of the British Bulldogs. And when he was going into just being the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, I even kind of remember being young, being like, whatever happened to the other Bulldog? You know what I mean? Like, I never really knew anything about it. So, like, I vaguely remember the British Bulldogs, but I really don't know much about Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid, to be honest with you at all.
Yeah, so I agree. I'm in the same age group as you, so I was a little bit too early. Or too young, I should say, for the Dynamite Kid. Obviously, I'm a little bit too young for Larry the Axe Hennig. However, and going back to the WWE Network, what's awesome is I say, I need to educate myself, right? I want to be a more well-rounded wrestling fan. So I did check out the Dynamite Kid. And good night, outside of the network, his matches with Tiger Mask were insane. He was a guy, you know, I always say the guy that broke the mold for the smaller guys was Shawn Michaels, right? When Shawn Michaels became champion, it kind of opened the floodgates to say, like, you know, you smaller guys, and fast forward, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, you know, so on and so forth. Right. You could be a champion because look what Shawn Michaels did. And I still think that is true. However, in that land of the giants during the 1980s when it's Hogan and Andre and Big John Studd and stuff like that, Dynamite Kid was killing it every night. And yes, he did the international matches. Like I said, if you want to see a great match that holds, you know, its weight as far as being compared to a Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, watch Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid. I thought he was spectacular in the ring. For me, I'm also more of a promo guy, so that kind of didn't check all the boxes. But that aside, Dynamite Kid's in-ring matches, if you just want to say, like, what was some good matches in the 80s? Well, if you don't want to see big punches and leg drops, let's go away from Hogan, but let me show you Dynamite Kid. Like, that's what I would say.
There was a lot of tests of strength and eye pokes, like eye raking.
Yes, I agree.
Now, some credit.
On the other end of that, I was more familiar with Larry the Axe Hennig after that History of the AWA DVD was released. Remember when they put that with Vern Gagne and all that?
Yeah.
Larry the Axe Hennig was like a mainstay in that organization. So I became a little bit more familiar with his work there. Now, he's the opposite of Dynamite Kid. If you like the big punches and the test of strength or the
snarl.
Right, or the rest holds. Well, Larry the Axe Hennig's gonna give it to you, but he was believable. Like it looked like a fight.
The 10 count head banging into the turnbuckle. There was a lot of that.
Right. Mm-hmm. But he made you think like, hey man, that guy could kick your ass if you piss him off, right? So
I always heard he was like tough, nasty. Yeah, the Axe. And how do you get the name the Axe? You know,
exactly. And another good thing, or not another good thing, but another note about Larry the Axe Hennig, good friend before he passed, obviously today, good friend of the show, Rob Schamberger. So check out Rob Schamberger on Twitter. He has a lot of great positive things to say about Larry the Axe Hennig. Has some good artwork that he shared in memory of him and his family, Mr. Perfect and Curtis Axel.
I know for sure there's some Rob Schamberger, Larry the Axe Hennig artwork, as you mentioned. There may be of the Dynamite Kid too. So always check out Rob's stuff if you want to.
Yeah, but even more so for Larry the Axe because he had an actual personal relationship with him. So he does have artwork of Dynamite Kid. And again, I would say if you're not familiar with Dynamite Kid and you're in the age group that me and Tim are, that's understandable, but educate yourself. He is very good. I put him in that mold of the Steiner brothers, Ron Simmons, where it was like, this looks like a real fight. And it also is like high athleticism, like this is incredible for the time period. The Flying Brian Pillmans, the Juice and Thunder Ligers, that kind of corner of pro wrestling. They did awesome. Yeah, the Owen Harts. Yeah, definitely. So just want to mention that. So condolences to the family.
Yeah.
But you want to take a quick break so we can kind of switch gears and talk about our favorite things and get positive.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to come back next segment, just kind of hit Raw and SmackDown in general, right? And then we'll head into our third segment. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll come back. We'll talk about the week that was when we come back to the Spanish announce table.
Fun fact, WCW Starrcade 2000 had 650,000 less buys than Starrcade 1997.
The Spanish announce table.
Tom, if you'll remember, we like to encourage our listeners to go on Twitter and use hashtag #TweetTheTable whenever they have any wrestling thought at all. If you're watching the show, if you're taking a shit, if you're listening to this show, if you come up with a wrestling thought and you want to share it with the world, use hashtag #TweetTheTable on Twitter, share it with the world. We'll read it here on the show if it's good enough, if it fits, if there's a reason. So you might get read on the show, you might not.
We guarantee that we will at least read it, but it might not be read on air.
And you listening, you will definitely never, ever get on the show. You know who you are. All right. So I say that because we're going to go to @B_double_D. And he says, how's your Monday night going? I'm actually having an awesome night. Decided to not watch Raw. Hashtag #TweetTheTable.
You know what? I don't think he's having an awesome night. And I'll say this. I have also done recently hey, I'm checking out, right? I can't fucking take this anymore. The goddamn 3-segment Nia Jax bullshit with Tamina that looks lost standing behind her. How you can get lost standing behind someone. I just can't fucking take it, right? So I'm going to watch the Holiday Baking Championships. And that fucking show is awesome, right? I love the Holiday Baking Championship. I would do a podcast about that because I think some people got eliminated too early. And I think some of the fucking swerves that they do are unfair. Anyhow, side note.
Woo. Hot takes.
when I was watching the Holiday Baking Championship, I was entertained, right? But a little piece of me, I won't even say a little piece of me, a big piece of me felt like, God damn it, I really wish I could watch wrestling. Like, I really want to watch the wrestling that is scheduled for this time slot.
Right.
But when I watch what they have, I fucking don't like it. And that's the disappointing part. Where B double D, I think whatever he watched, right? Whatever, Monday Night Football, maybe Holiday Baking Championships, I don't know. I think he was entertained by it.
Porn.
And I think he was like, this is refreshing. This feels good. But I guarantee you, if we talked to him on this podcast, he would tell you, like, I really wish, because he even said a tweet, I really wish that fucking Monday Night Raw or alternative, right? Fill in the blank, was filling my pro wrestling fix tonight.
I think it was porn. I think he was watching porn.
Hey, and sometimes, watch that too. Who cares? Self-love.
Oh, yeah. Whatever you got to do. Yeah, well, let's roll into Raw because, I didn't watch it live. I rarely do anymore. I always kind of catch up before this show, sometime in there. But, and that in there is indicative. I mean, some Monday nights I have to be doing something else. But some Monday nights I don't.
Get 2 kids and
Most
things like that.
Monday nights I don't. I could be watching Raw live if I really wanted to. If I felt it was like, I'm going to get ruined by Tom telling me, like, oh, my God, do you see what happened? Which would happen if something cool was going on. But they really don't got anything uber cool going on, so.
And yes, let's also be a little bit kind to Monday Night Raw in this sense. They banked on, after Crown Jewel, that Roman Reigns was going to be their champion. Braun Strowman was going to be chasing that championship. There was going to be some type of fallout or storyline that they had designed with the Shield and that breakup or whatever, they had planned for. And all of that shit has hit the fan, right? Mm-hmm. And I can, as a viewer, because, when you watch your traditional Breaking Bads, Wire, things like that, if something fucking happens, they can take a week or they can go on a hiatus and push back their premiere, X amount of weeks, and then give you a product that you can digest and say, like, okay, right? Wrestling and WWE specifically do not have that luxury. Right. And so I understand that to a certain extent. However, the fuck? Like, guys, I'm not saying, like, I'm giving you that caveat and that crutch to lean on where it's like, okay, I get it, right? Injuries happen, things happen, but it feels like you're not even trying.
Yeah. Hey, maybe it's because last week, the prior week was so terrible. That this week seemed not as bad. I was like, what? I took some things that I was like, what, I didn't mind. And maybe I had a week off of work. I'm unemployed. Right. Spend some time with the wife. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just in a good mood. But I didn't hate it watching it.
No, and I didn't either.
But, there's still just this kind of like, if we weren't doing a show and I didn't watch this week at all, I wouldn't have been bothered by it.
I just feel, I agree with you. And I also feel like what the main event is that they're pushing to me isn't what I'm interested in. And that's where, I hate to say listen to the fans, because I also don't want to say, like, that person should be heel. If they're not heel, this is fucking stupid. Because sometimes, take me on the journey you want. I'm okay with that. Yeah. However, a fucking tag match that sees Ronda Rousey just win, who the fuck cares?
Look, there are some people out there, I will give you this, there are enough people that you could say some people want to see Ember Moon in the main event of Raw.
Mm-hmm. And so do I, if it makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't. But, I'm sure we could poll 100 people and get 7 to 10 to 13 to go on average go. Yeah, sure. But nobody wants to see one half of Snooker Jacks, both halves of Snooker Jacks in the main event. Maybe Rousey, you could argue Rousey to me. I still don't, but I could hear you go, okay, enough people want to see that. But no, the other three, it's like, guys, come on.
Well, and I agree with you today, but also if I asked you last year, would you want to see Becky Lynch in your main event storyline? You'd probably tell me, fuck no, I don't want those stupid puns. So it's go with what is hot. And right now, in my opinion, the Ronda Rousey title match thing has no real legs. It doesn't feel very thought out. So give me, one thing that they teased but did it in 2 segments and now we're apparently fucking done up with it is Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler have split.
Yeah, right.
If you do one segment where it's Drew McIntyre Appreciation Night and then Dolph Ziggler is like, hey, pal, you're welcome, right? And then Drew McIntyre says, like, basically what he did, fuck off.
Yeah.
And there becomes a little skirmish. The refs separate them, and then they say, in the main event tonight, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre. Because the other thing that was important is that was the first time since he's been back on the main roster, this reincarnation of Drew McIntyre. This is the first time that he lost via pin.
Yeah.
But you, Tim, and I'm asking this before I told you that right now. Did you know that?
Nope.
But you could have closed the fucking show with, holy shit,
right.
Dolph Ziggler just pulled off the upset of the year, beating this unstoppable, quote unquote, Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre. What will happen next week? And you can have Drew McIntyre just fucking wreck the ring, pull all the shit down and all of that. And then we're like, oh, fuck, next week, Dolph Ziggler is going to get his ass kicked.
Hey, right there. What will happen next week? I'm going to name the episode title this because that's what they're missing now. They don't write to the end point of leaving us with what will happen next. Because we always see like, yep, there it is.
Sometimes
they beat everybody up. Guess we'll see next week if they beat them up again. Like, that's all we're getting.
Sometimes they do, right? So, I mean, in most recent history,
it's Samoa Joe.
Dean Ambrose. Well, no, I was going to say Dean Ambrose turning on Seth Rollins.
Yes, right.
Boom. Okay.
Yeah.
However, and that's recent memory. Recent memory says that was an amazing moment. And since then, all of a sudden, Dean Ambrose is a germaphobe. What the fuck?
Yeah. More on Dean Ambrose as we get into that. But back to this thing where you're talking about the main event, right? So you've got – look, okay, I know right now there is a big push on this woman's thing, and we're behind it, man. You know what I mean? Like, I know you want to get some of these girls in the main event, and we're behind it when it's good enough to be.
Exactly.
Charlotte and Becky Lynch are doing amazing. And if you had WrestleMania today, I'd want that as the main event match of WrestleMania.
100% agree.
100%. Yep. I would want that. So – you don't need to force it on the other show if it's not there, nor do you need to worry about appearances if you're worried about that, because we wrestling fans will have your back, right? We'll say, no, we love this thing over here. These people just suck. It's Snook Jacks. Because you have 2 other things that are hotter than this right now. You do have the Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins storyline. You're handling it piss poorly, and you're fumbling it. But it's there, right? With all the history, the turn, like the Dean Ambrose heel turn, which everybody's been wanting, all that is there. You also have Elias and Lashley here, where you have Lashley getting some of the most legitimate heel heat with Lio Rush, and you have Elias getting some of the biggest legitimate face heat. You're putting them together, and it's going okay, but you're burying it in the middle of the show when nobody cares. Like, it's just not. I don't understand what you're doing here.
But we get 3 segments of Nia Jax. Right? We get the first appearance, we get a backstage promo, and then we get a match. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, if that's Becky Lynch, but that's not fucking good.
And you're blending it with the Riot Squad Natty thing, so I don't know where that stops and where this doesn't. And I'm just like, guys, I don't know what to do with this.
Well, I'm okay with that because we've talked about in the past, this is a traveling circus, so I don't mind the intermingling of storylines, but both storylines suck.
Yeah. There's just nothing to it. There's just nothing to it. And like the Riot Squad one feels like it's gone on too long if we're not going to get Natty's comeuppance for it. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? I don't get it.
Well, here's a question that I have for you, and this is a legitimate question. do you want to see Natty get the upper hand on the Riot Squad? To me, no, because everything that to me, the Riot Squad, you could just put the loser squad because they fucking lose everything. And I get it. We're telling stories. We're not keeping records, right? Like when Ruby Riot walks out, they don't have with a win of 182 and a loss record of 68. I get it, but also if you just keep telling me that every fucking time I see these three girls they're going to lose, I don't want to see Natty get a fucking victory at a pay-per-view.
I've got a thought. That here's what I would roll with it, right? Because here's why I'd have nothing better. I don't want to see the shine come for Natty and she gets to beat these three girls up and everybody goes, yay, we're sorry your dad died, right? Like, I don't want to see it. What I do want is her and Ruby Riot, right? So they're beating her up, they're running to the back, and Natty finds Ruby, right? And Ruby's like, oh, crap, here it is, right? We're going to fight. She cornered her. She was like, I don't want to fight. We need to talk. Right? And they start hashing this out. And Natty, we're going to get a heel turn out of Natty through all this, right? But she's going to turn dark and evil and want to do the things the Riot Squad are doing, right? They're going to fuck shit up. They're going to beat people up. We got to get these other two bitches out of there, right? I don't like the other two girls in the Riot Squad. We're just going to make this Natty and Ruby Riot because they're bringing on a women's tag team division, right? The writing's on the wall for that, right? So now we're going to have that team going around. And I think you could pair that up well. I think Ruby Riot could carry enough of the talking, if that makes sense, right? And then now you get Natty into the full garb of what her gear is supposed to look like, right? Get her dark, get her kind of like, is she a dominatrix? You know what I mean? Like get them, and then she's the muscle of these two, right? And they're going around being the Riot Squad, if you will, even name something different, maybe, whatever, right? But I'd go that route, right? This is just nobody wants to see this. Like, I mean, yeah. Some people, because of Total Divas, like Natty, right? Like, they're like, yay, but this is not going to move the needle for you. This isn't going to do anything other than make her smile, which, if that's what we're doing it for, great, Well, see, because what I would like to see is let's just say for whatever reason, backstage, and I'm making this up, the three of them, Ruby Riot and those other two girls, they're New Day and the writers and saying, we're not breaking up, right? We're fucking staying together. Cool. Again, the history of the Riot Squad is losing to everyone. Anytime, like, name any match. And I know you can name one Raw that happened, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying name any meaningful match at Evolution or any pay-per-view, they've always fucking lost. So you know what would be cool? Is if they fucking beat Natty Neidhart at this next pay-per-view and they ruin her fucking life to where Natty Neidhart is just a wet sap, right? Just like when Ric Flair lost his smile and Triple H then had to like join Evolution, had him join Evolution. Like, but that time period where Ric Flair was like walking around and he yelled at Carlito because Carlito wanted to leave early. Make Natty that character because she's fucking lost because the Riot Squad broke her dad's glasses, made fun of her, kicked her, gave her a wedgie, and then threw her in the backstage. Now I have the Riot Squad are fucking heartless bitches, right? They'll fucking break your dead dad's stuff. Holy shit. And then, I'm not saying go NWO style, but you can have them, what would be fucking awesome? Okay, so right, let's just have fun a little bit with the Riot Squad and actually have them be a fucking riot. So they beat Natty Neidhart of whatever this next pay-per-view is. TLC, I think it's called. Wait a minute. You want the Riot Squad to be a squad that riots.
Yes, and not the stupid elementary riot where they. Well, what I'm saying is I don't want them to be like the stupid elementary riot where they put ketchup and mustard on someone's name tag. No, this is what you do. Okay, so they broke Jim the Anvil Neidhart's glasses, right? They beat Natty Neidhart down to the point where Natty Neidhart's lost her confidence. She needs her dad here. Her dad's fucking dead. She doesn't know what to do. We've ruined this fucking girl's life, right? Like the Riot Squad has literally ruined this girl's life because Natty Neidhart at any time of need always went to her dad. This is the first time that she needs some support. Her dad's not fucking there. Right?
Every time they have a promo back and forth and Natty's about to say something, they should be like, hold on 1 second. My dad's calling. I got to take this.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
You know what you should do? This would be even fun. Let's just go down this route, like I said, right? So TLC, it's Natty Neidhart versus Ruby Riott. Because of shenanigans from the other two members, Ruby Riott gets the win. Natty Neidhart's pissed. The other two run into the ring. It's a 3-on-1. They beat her down. Again, I'm making this up, but I'm saying, like, give her a wedgie, throw her in the back, say that she's a fucking loser, right? Mm-hmm. Then at the next pay-per-view, it's Natty Neidhart wants her revenge. It's another extreme match, fill in the blank, because I think the next one's a table match. You say now it's a Falls Count Anywhere, right? You know what you do just to start off that fucking match? You have Ruby Riott. So Natty Neidhart gets introduced first, and she does her whole thing, and she's going to beat up Ruby Riott. Then Ruby Riott and her squad come down, and before Ruby Riott gets into the fucking ring, she high-fives her dad, who's sitting ringside, and goes, look at my fucking dad. And just points. Right? That's all you got to do. Just subtle, because a kid won't fucking get what that is. But high fives her dad, gets in the ring, they beat her up again. Now Natty Neidhart, this is what I'm saying. Now she's a fucking lost soul. She's just in the back wandering. Ronda Rousey's trying to get to her. No one can fucking get to her. That's a fun storyline we run with, right? But again, now we've established the Riott Squad has some fucking clout. They actually beat some bitches up. So the next thing they do is Bayley comes out on the next Monday Night Raw, and her fucking inflatable things come out, but guess what? They have all fucking spray paint of Ruby Riott and Riott Squad and all that, and then they come down and they fucking slash that shit.
Yeah.
While the big one beats up Bayley. So the big one, I forget her name, Sarah Logan, I think it is, body slams her on the catwalk, stomping her to the boots. They hold her head up. Ruby Riott and the blonde girl are just fucking killing those inflatable things, and we never see the inflatable things again.
Great.
Because the Riott Squad fucking ruined it. Right?
Yes.
But you know what we're going to get? We're going to get them fucking losing every goddamn time.
Every time.
And I get it. I saw Cataclysmic say, like, every idea is good until you have to run it by Vince. Well, fucking guess what? Vince sucks at ideas then.
Well, they said he's the one who wrote most of the lowest rated Raw and whatever,
So he's fucking lost his touch. That's what I'm trying to say. And Cataclysmic, I love you, but you get what I'm trying to say.
That is the problem too, Cataclysmic, is that great ideas are probably getting run by Vince, and they're probably getting shut down. I mean,
so whoever's making that decision, Vince, Triple H, Kevin Dunn, blah, 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 I don't care, because that's not my concern. What I'm seeing on the TV is not fucking good. What else happened on Raw?
It's not good. At Katie First Lady on Twitter says Ronda needs to make her armbar look more painful. At least when Becky does her disarmor, you can feel the pain. Hashtag tweet the table. I was just throwing that in there since we were still on that.
I totally agree. However, when someone really knows how to do something, you don't want them to mimic that every single time, because out of 100 times, one of them is going to be real, and we don't need to be breaking bitches' arms. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm okay with it not looking that bad, because I don't want Ronda to really do it to Tamina. Well, maybe it's Mina, but I'm saying we don't want her to really do it to Charlotte. Now all of a sudden Charlotte has a broken arm. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you too can also tweet the table by using hashtag tweet the table on Twitter, and you can get read just like we read Katie the First Ladies. And you know what? Because I'm feeling in a great mood right now, Tom, and it's a Thursday edition of the Spanish Notes that we're recording. I'm going to read another one of Katie First Ladies.
What?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And it says, so when are the women's tag titles coming back? Hashtag tweet the table. Yes, because this whole Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Sasha things, it sounds like that's where this is leading. I mean, they're taking a long time to get there, and maybe because they want to stall this till Rumble or something. I don't know, but we're getting that, right? We're getting a women's tag team division.
Awesome.
Don't you think?
Awesome.
Isn't that what they're saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's so cool, because you know what? That just further proves that they can't tell stories that don't involve championship stakes.
Which is fine, right? But even at that, if they're going to involve championship stakes, I get it. But I can have title matches that are boring. You know what I mean? Like, that have no story behind it. You still got to tell me a story. Yeah.
UFC, MMA. MMA is my favorite sport. UFC is the pinnacle and gold standard for that sport. One thing that I absolutely hate that the UFC does is they make interim title fights, and then that interim champion now faces the true champion. because on the poster you can say champion versus champion because they don't know how to fucking promote a fight any other way other than Conor McGregor talk shit, right? Like, so they've just fucking ran out of ideas because their promotional material and just everything has just hit a fucking wall. That's what it feels like with more titles. Hey, you know what also needs to be added? Because No Way Jose needs to be on TV. You know what should be added? European Championship. Hey, you know what also I haven't seen in a while? I haven't seen Ty Dillinger. So let's get the Cruiserweight Championship. Oh, no, that's 205 Live. Okay, then let's get the Hardcore Championship. Hell, you know what? I haven't seen the Light Heavyweight Championship. That's different than 205 Live. That has a weight limit of 225. Like, we're just fucking titles.
The Light Heavyweight division. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Could revive the Light Heavyweight division.
Why not? Right? What else do we need to revive? Because
Why
we need
not?
Titles to tell.
There's no reason for anything.
Yeah.
Why not, Tom? I mean, that's all right. Speaking of why not, Lucha House Party. Why not? Where are we going with this? Is this going to be like, you know what I wouldn't mind is, let's say 205 Live has their thing, right? They're doing 205 Live. If they also didn't have like a tag team division, but they just had this like 3-man tag division, right? Like that was just their thing over there, and it was just on 205 Live. At least then you'd have a unique thing over there.
I wish Lucha House Party would turn into a heel, right?
Yeah.
I wish they would turn into the annoying guys at the party who don't leave, and that because I hate that. Like, here's one inconsistency with Raw that's just astronomically stupid, right? 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. Lucha House Party goes 3-on-1 against one of the Revival guys, and they win, right? And the commentary team is telling you, like, it's Lucha House Party rules. It's a house party. And I go, okay, fine, right? Cool. I'll go with it. But then 2 to 3 segments later, you have Bobby Roode versus Spike Dudley, or what the fuck is his name? Not Spike Dudley. Drake Maverick. Right? And then AOP beats up Chad Gable in the back, and then Baron Corbin says, hey, by the way, Drake Maverick versus Bobby Roode is now a 3-on-1 match. And the commentary team goes, oh, my God, how could they do it? Who the fuck cares? Two segments before this, you said how fucking fun it was.
Right.
Guess what? AOP versus Bobby Roode, it's Lucha House Party rules. You fucking idiots. You're so inconsistent with what the fuck you're telling me. Dum-dums? I love wrestling. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know where it's like. You're obviously hitting on it for a reason. I'm just worried that this reason is not anything that's meaningful or makes sense.
But if you're going to say 3-on-1, traditionally in the historical sense, is a heel thing to do, well, then let's turn these fucking mass luchadors into some heels. I don't mind booing them. You know? Who the fuck are they? Who cares? Rey Mysterio's cooler than all three of them anyhow, so fucking turn them heel and boo them. And then have Rey Mysterio wrestle him. Tired of seeing Rey Mysterio on SmackDown. Old ass. Fucking go on 205 Live. You know where you belong.
All right, then we got the Drew McIntyre Appreciation Night, huh? And we kind of hit on this a little bit with the Dolphin Drew thing. And we talked about some of this off air, I think. The Drew McIntyre thing, I think we're both set on that, like, looks apart. Damn fine on the mic, right? The character work is real strong with what they're building here. He just doesn't have that kind of like X factor that ever makes it like, oh, he's going to be the poster guy, right? So it's kind of hard to get that, like, they're going to have to always work hard to really make you care, I guess, you know, if that makes sense.
Definitely does. And I also think it's not the correct character for what suits him best. You know, when him and Dolph Ziggler first united as this team that's going to take down the Raw roster, they said essentially, you know, these guys aren't pro wrestlers. None of these guys know, you know, what it is to be a pro wrestler.
Right.
Dolph Ziggler's a veteran. I'm a veteran. We'll show you that, you know, pro wrestling is X, Y, and Z and all that stuff, right? And I felt that was perfect. But this, and like you said off air, branding is everything, right? So we have the lunatic fringe, Dean Ambrose. We have the architect, Seth Rollins. And now we have the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre. But where that falls flat for me, personally speaking, if you tell me the apex predator, Randy Orton, is taking on the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre, that's the same fucking guy wrestling each other. It's the same fucking person. So, again, I thought it was cool when they said, like, I go back to the days of fucking just, let's play right into it. I go back to the days of Larry the Axe Henning. I go back to the days of when men were men. And that character I can get into a little bit more than Diet Randy Orton, because Diet Randy Orton is what I see when I see Drew McIntyre. Again, like you said, checks all the boxes, looks the part, he can talk, he doesn't need a manager, I don't think. Send him on Good Morning America, he fucking can hit all that. But Diet Randy Orton is who I think he is.
I still think, and I think there's time to salvage it. You could still do this, right? He can still be the Scottish psychopath. He can still do the Randy Orton-esque, like, when he hurts somebody, he does it hard and weird.
But then get rid of Randy Orton.
But then it's still about, like, because look at you, what have you become? Like, especially go after a guy like Xavier Woods if they were breaking up the New Day, or just all of the New Day. Like, because you'd be like, look at you chumps throwing pancakes around like some little freaking kids. You know what I mean? Like, what is this? Right? Like,
Hot
just
Wheels at the New Day.
Yeah, like, just come in and being like, would you stop? Like, you should be embarrassed, right? Like, just right.
I think that's the route you should go. And again, that's just me personally speaking, and I know I do that each and every week on this episode, on this podcast. But guess what? It's our podcast. But I feel you should do the almost, to a main event level and better. But remember when William Regal was Steven Regal and he was a man's man?
He's a
that was fucking stupid
right.
because he was dressed like a lumberjack, but his merits had some weight behind it. Again, I'm not saying do the William Regal thing, but
the music was never going to help either.
Yeah, it didn't help. But if you did the I'm a man's man thing with Drew McIntyre, I think that would work.
Man, from everything we know and have heard about William Regal, right? Like, he's an old school man's man, right? Like, I mean, and this is where Vince McMahon came up with this idea. I know that, right? But goddamn, can you imagine the meeting when he's telling William Regal this gimmick, and Regal's sitting there thinking, like, I need this job. I need this fucking job.
I burned my bridge at WCW. I need to stay here. Yeah.
Fucking job. And just like, oh, this is going to suck so bad. Like, I could just imagine. That's probably why it didn't come off so well either, because just not who he was, man. I mean, it is who he was, but not in that way. Right.
But with Drew McIntyre, there's so many things that you can go on to with the I'm a man and these are boys. Hey, I drink my whiskey neat. I don't chase it because I don't even chase my women. You think I'm going to chase my liquor?
Have him showing up in perfectly tailored contemporary suits. You know what I mean? Like the Miz was doing.
And then when he wrestles and he has that fucking hairy ass chest, like that's what a man looks like. They don't shave their fucking body.
You got to get him acting smooth around the ladies, old school style, Bond style, right? You got to.
But when he wrestles, he fucking wrecks you.
Yeah, and if you cross him, he's the Scottish psychopath, and it all fits and it works fine there. I agree with you.
But this whole Diet Randy Orton, I'm not a fan of.
All right. What I am a fan of is this Lashley Lio Rush pairing. It's still, they're getting even better each week as I see it. I like the, hey, Bobby. I think that should be everything, right? Because that could catch on. Hey, Bobby. And then he's like, hit him with the side bicep pose or whatever he's doing,
Yeah.
God, that's great, man. It just is amazing. And I like the almighty Bobby Lashley. I like it. It's grown on me. I like it.
Yeah. I think, it's good heat. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like when he comes out, I'm like, these fucking guys, and I like Bobby Lashley personally. I really do.
Right.
But I don't like him when comes out on TV because I don't like the fucking, that he looks better than me. And I don't like that he can pose. And then I don't like that he shows his ass off. What a dickhead move. Right?
That was fun, too, because
good heat.
Because they are doing the thing, right? The poses, and he's like, look at him. He's so nice, he's the greatest. But they still are like, yeah, fuck you. Here's us mooning you and slapping. You know what I mean? It's still right.
And then they laugh at us, right? So it's like, and then here's our favorite pose. And we are like, you
They're
assholes.
the cool kids in high school making fun of the nerds, right? Yeah, it works great.
I like them. They're really
get this thing over with Elias because you're clearly not going to do anything big with this, and get him onto somebody else. Who's the next big face you'd roll into this Lashley thing?
Well, let's just assume that Seth Rollins keeps the title against Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose goes,
Perfect.
more with this stupid germaphobe thing that makes sense. But Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley.
Good one. All right, Slater Rhino. This whole thing is weird. Slater going to be a ref?
I like that, right? That's another thing. I want to tune in next week to
Right.
see what the hell Heath Slater is going to do.
Well, he's got
Is he gonna
kids.
ref-
He needs the job.
Well, right, but is he going to ref the main event? Will he cost Baron Corbin? If Baron Corbin says, you know what, we're going to put one over on Finn Balor and we're going to do Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, and I'm going to, get Finn Balor beat up. Okay, cool, but guess what? There's a wrench in your plans, and the wrench is Heath Slater's the ref, and you know what? He likes Finn Balor, and he doesn't like you, Baron Corbin. So guess what? He's going to screw over the plan that you had. Now, that's something I can get into, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm interested in.
Yeah,
Definitely interested in.
I'm definitely interested in it. And yeah, that was, I don't even want to say it was fun. While it lasted, it served its purpose a while ago, getting Heath Slater and
intrigued.
Rhino paired. And then, I'm glad Rhino's going to be doing whatever Rhino does now.
Getting fat.
What'd you call him?
God,
A box
he is,
with
he
a
is
head?
as wide as he is tall.
Yeah, you called him a box with a head
Yeah.
on this show before, yeah. All right. Okay, at Katie First Lady again. So seriously, we all know Rude has another damn robe. Hashtag tweet the table. Good storyline progression on this one, I guess. I'm just still not like all that into this one.
Again,
I guess.
I just don't like that I'm told that 3-on-1 with Lucha House Party is fun, but 3-on-1 with AOP and Drake Maverick is bad.
It's
Shut
bad,
up.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. At the ultimate, nope, not him yet. At Chris Mercado 23 says Dean Ambrose with a big furry coat and a gold chain. I'm confused. When did he become a pimp? Hashtag tweet the table. And yeah, okay, that aside, whatever. He's just trying to wear something you don't like. Whatever. He missed the boat and looked stupid. But
That entrance was cool.
it was cool. I like the music. I don't mind the germaphobe thing necessarily if he's doing it just
I hate that.
to hate it, to like shit on people. If he's just like, when somebody's an asshole and they just say things, like if he was doing that. But like if you went through the whole thing, you come out with the mask and you're like, I got to wear this to protect me from you. Well, you took it off, man, and finished the rest of your promo. Like you should have left it on the whole time. Then live it. If you're going to do that, you better talk to that mask this whole fucking promo. But that's why you don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, if he goes away from that, I would hope. But I like that we're now getting Dean Ambrose heel promos, right? Like getting him saying, like, I like the moral compass angle that he took, right? I love that. I liked where it ended, right? It started over here.
Stupid.
And hopefully it never goes back there, right? Like maybe that was, hey, I did this last week. Nobody seemed to like it. I'll go, okay, you remember me here? Now I'm over here, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe we can hope for the best. But I do like that. I like Dean Ambrose going like, hey, look, man, we're all just terrible. You guys have no integrity. Like, don't act like I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the moral compass right here. I like it.
So, and we'll get into SmackDown here in just a second, but if, generally speaking, my favorite thing of the week was, or the thing I was most pleasantly surprised with this week was the Daniel Bryan just, hey, you idiots, you chant what because you're sheep thing.
Right.
The thing I was most disappointed in, and I was a little bit disappointed in Daniel Bryan's promo with the you eat beef, you're a jerk, boo, whatever. But the thing I'm most disappointed in was Dean Ambrose. If you're going to do the fucking sirens are on and the security guards are out, well, guess what? He's a lunatic fringe that you've been telling me about for years. So you know what the security guards are out there for? Not because he doesn't want to be touched by you. It's so the security guards are protecting you from him because he's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Right?
Protecting Dean Ambrose from going out into the crowd and stabbing somebody.
Yeah. It's protecting the 10-year-old who wants a high five because Dean Ambrose might fucking cold cock that kid.
Yeah,
right?
the kid reaches out for a high five, accidentally touches Dean Ambrose's shoulder, and his instant reaction is to turn and almost throw some blows, man.
Right.
Like, we're gonna...
And so then you put the security guard in between them, like, hey, man, you got to get to the ring, Dean. You got to get to the ring. And then, two or three more, and Dean's just like a caged animal. And that's the other thing. we've never been paid off on why Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins, right?
Right.
But one thing that I cannot stand is that now Dean Ambrose is just a chicken shit. I get the chicken shit heel, and that works for The Miz and Leo Rush and those people, right? But I want Seth Rollins to literally be afraid of what Dean Ambrose is capable of. Like, I'm going to fight Dean Ambrose because I'm a man. That's what men of my integrity do, and I have a championship to defend.
Yeah.
But I'm a fucking afraid of Dean Ambrose. I don't need that. If I beat up 2 security guards, all of a sudden now I can just beat up Dean Ambrose as easy as it comes.
Well, and it would work better there with Dean Ambrose, the lunatic fringe. He's been weird than what you're trying to force us with the Drew McIntyre, like you said, where it just looks like Randy Orton light. Like, that's what you're wanting to do. Do it there with him.
Right.
Who does
and
this.
he has this the one thing he touches on that I like that he's not going into enough, in my opinion, is this: Seth Rollins, you have to pay for the sins of what you've done. I've seen you on the road. Like, that's what's driving the psychopathic, psychotic things is
then they could,
I know you.
Yeah.
I know what you've done.
Then they could flirt with, like,
the
pictures that came out. Remember when he had, like, the fiance or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? He was like, oh, that was just the tip of the iceberg, Seth, right? Like, remember how relieved you were that was all that they found out? Like, that's the only line you got to say, you know? Like,
right. And but the other thing is, like, but Seth, know that, you know, you're protected right now in that ring. But there's going to be a time where I find you and I'm going to hurt you.
You're going to be at the gym before the show.
Yeah. And then that's where you can get back to this raw element of what the fucking show is named after. And we have a match between fill in the blank and fill in the blank, but we've got to run backstage and there's a camera guy running because Dean Ambrose is just fucking pummeling Seth Rollins. He caught him.
Yeah, because if we're not, it was called Raw for a reason. If we're not going to be Raw anymore, which we haven't been, let's go back to primetime wrestling, right? Can we name it that
that's
again?
what it feels more like than
That's
Raw.
Exactly what it feels like.
But go more into the devil. Be the fucking devil. Don't be a goddamn germaphobe. So stupid.
And it's great, guys. It's a Monday Night Raw. Everybody just got back from their first day of work. They're not happy about it. They're little, you know, like, and then Monday Night Raw comes on. You're like, stab that guy. All right. Maybe not stab him. Or maybe do. I don't know. Let's move on to SmackDown, which is ideally supposed to be more of the primetime wrestling feel to it.
Better show.
But it's, well, I mean, you could still have that format and be the better show, but that was generally traditionally and has been more of the, like, hey, this is the one you can bring the entire family to, and you don't have to go, oh, I don't know what he meant when he said that, right? Right. So let's move into that. It opens up with one of the hottest things going, right? We got Charlotte and Becky, and then, you know, Asuka's in there too. Paige is hanging out. But, I mean, you got to go with that, right? That's the hottest thing on the show. And it, you know, went off well. I just think felt a little bit of a stall mode with that opening, you know, showdown.
Yeah, I felt there was a tad bit of a stall. And I also don't like, I mean, I like it in this sense that, hey, she does what she wants and she goes where she feels. But I felt it was a little awkward that Becky Lynch is like, hey, neither one of you can beat me. I'm signing this and I'm out of here. I like it. But then when Charlotte's like, hey, Paige, are you going to just let your champion walk off? That's where I wish Becky Lynch would have came back out, grabbed a microphone and goes, hey, I'm the champ. I go wherever I want, whenever I want. You stay in the ring because that's what the champ says, and then leaves. Right?
Yeah,
but when she just leaves, it kind of looks like Charlotte got one over on her, like, you know, jump, how high, bitch. You know what I mean? And so Charlotte looked the strongest of the three. I get that why Becky Lynch left, because then it set up the tag match and blah, blah, blah. I like Asuka doing the, you kicked me, I don't fucking care about this match. I'm going to kick you right in the face. Mm-hmm. So there was elements of all three that I liked, but I want more of Becky Lynch saying, like, you don't talk to me in any way that I don't want to be talked to. I run the show here. Not so much of like a MMA fighter, you know, when like press conferences, like a Conor McGregor or something, when someone says like Connor, I'm going to knock you out. Like, you're not going to do anything. Like, not that much. You don't need to be Conor McGregor light, but a little bit more of you don't tell Becky Lynch what to do. You don't tell Becky Lynch where to go. I run this show. Don't be Stone Cold Steve Austin, but also don't be a pushover.
Well, there's just that, like,
kind of pushed over a little bit.
It's like, hey, look, in case you haven't forgot, I'm the champ. Champ's schedule's a little busy, right? Champ's got things she's got to get to because I'm the man. So I don't got time for this anymore.
I do like, what my favorite thing about the triple threat is, though, is it's rock, paper, scissors, right? So Becky has never beat Asuka. Asuka can't beat Charlotte, but then Charlotte can't beat Becky. So it's paper, rock, scissors. I like that. That's cool to me. Like, that's what I wish they'd go into. Like, Asuka can say, you might be the man, but the man doesn't have a victory over me. And Charlotte's like she said on SmackDown, I took your Mystique. I beat you at WrestleMania. And then Becky Lynch is like, yeah, well, I took your fucking title. It's in my hand, And then, like, we just get that. That would be a little bit more fun if they went down that route.
Well, what's not fun is this continued New Day, Usos, The Bar. We got Xavier Woods taking on Uso 2 and Cesaro in a triple threat. I'm so done with this now.
Yeah, they need new tag teams yesterday. The only thing that came about this that was so fun was from social media, and I retweeted it. So if you follow me at TMac_816, I retweeted it. Sheamus did one of those Instagram videos where it's like boom, dun, 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 and it was like this EDM vibe,
right.
But it was when Cesaro had one of the Usos on his back and was like throwing around, and Sheamus had this video at the same time. That was the only thing that came about it. Everything else was everything else was like, is this December 2018 or is this January 2017? Because it feels the fucking same.
It's just we're doing it over and over and over again. But you know what? You know what I do know? I know that Rusev's got traps like a double-decker Taco Supremes.
Yeah, he's fun.
God, it's fun. Yeah, I like it. They're playing into this, right? I mean, it's just I feel like they're just not. There's not enough wind behind this Nakamura, thing.
Well, guess who wasn't on SmackDown? Nakamura. Wouldn't it be fucking great if your U.S. champion was on the goddamn show?
Speaking of the show, Miz TV, and I like that Carmelo and R-Truth just come out, right? They just come out for a quick dance break. But we got into what you're going to talk about more in depth, but we'll hit on a little bit with Daniel Bryan, right? We got more into the psyche of where he's at now, which really furthered that along, and we'll discuss what we think about that in the next segment. But I like it. I like it a lot, and I don't know. We'll save a lot. I
like it. Yeah, it is one of my favorite things of the week. But I will say here, because I want the next segment to be a little bit more positive than the shit show I've been giving you guys the first two segments. But I will criticize this part about it. Fucking being eco-friendly in 2018 going into 2019. Yeah. I get it in the 80s, right? I even get it during the Attitude Era when we were still pushing the limits and saying, like, we're degenerates, don't tell us what the fuck to do, right? I still get it then. And again, this is not listening to your audience. It's cool to, like, the vegan is the baby face.
Yeah.
The vegan isn't the heel.
Why I think this one feels different to me, and at the Ultimate One on Twitter agrees with you when he says, no, Daniel, don't go CJ Parker on us. # tweet the table. He's not CJ Parker. CJ Parker was the NXT guy who tried to run that whole gimmick of that.
Oh, right? Yeah. Okay.
So what you're thinking there is you're thinking somebody's coming out and they're like, I'm a vegan and you should be too. And we're like, yeah, we know. Now, whereas back then we'd be like, boo, what he's doing different, Daniel Bryan here, at least that he did this time. And there's no indications, at least yet, that this is going to be an everyday, thing with this character. But this could be, and it wouldn't bother me. It's where he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I punched the guy in the dick. Oh, but you are using a fucking plastic water bottle. Fuck you, man. Right? And you're like, well, that's not the same fucking thing, asshole. You know what I mean? Like, right. So I like that. Right.
Yeah. I didn't see it that way. And you telling me, assuming they go that route.
Right.
I like that. Right.
I like that if they do that.
Yeah. I
We'll
just
see.
don't like that. Yeah, I just don't like that climate change is being booed. It's fucking
right.
very important, and we need an Earth.
Right. Like, yeah, you should stop eating so much meat. It would stop the rainforest from being destroyed. Be like, hey, I know I'm working on it, man. I've actually cut down a lot. I'm
try.
sorry, man. Can you go back to, punching guys in the
Yeah,
dick?
I'll have a salad for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't know. And then we got, something that it's a dream match scenario that I don't think we thought would ever happen. Tom. Jeff Hardy took on Randy Orton.
What?
Yeah. What?
Man.
I mean,
They should put this in the hidden gems on their collections.
it was like just mind blowing, right? I just never thought we would have.
Crazy.
What I do
First
like,
time?
what I
This
do,
first time?
maybe we'll have to check.
Huh.
We don't fact check, so yeah.
Okay.
First time that they did it on SmackDown Live in December of 18. I don't even know. Oh, Samoa Joe. I like him leaning into the Jeff Hardy alcoholism thing. I mean, it's a little fun. I like where he's like, hey, I'm at the bar. He's like, I mean, of course. You know, I'm at the bar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was super fun. I do like that, but at some point, it's one of those where alcoholism had enough awareness for so long now that if anybody's making fun of it, you're like, hey, come on, man. It's a struggle. Knock it off, right? You're like, come on. You know?
I'll say this. It feels like another tired cliche, just like boo climate change, right? It's one and the same as far as like boo a drunk or feel sympathetic for the drunk, right? It's like, well, it's a disease, they need help. Like we just shouldn't even be talking about it, right? However, what I like about Samoa Joe is from a bigger picture of his character. I mean, just think about the year he's had. Hey, AJ's wife, I'll fuck you.
Uh-huh.
And now, hey, you drunk. Like, goddamn, this guy's a fucking prick. I wish they kind of would, like, at the end of the year, they always do their, like, recaps and things like that. I wish they would go, like, the biggest jerk of the year, because, it's a PG show, but the biggest jerk of the year is Samoa Joe. Look what he said to Roman Reigns. Look what he said to AJ Styles and AJ Styles' wife.
You know what it is?
Look what he said to Jeff Hardy.
You know what it is? It's the Booker T, tell me he didn't just say that award. Right?
Yeah.
And then they just show like all the Samoa Joe things and they give him that. And then he comes out and says something that Booker T's even like, I can't believe you just said that to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly. I like that I don't like specifically what he's saying about the alcoholism thing, but just like you said, I'm in a bar. But Jeff, you already knew that. Like, goddamn, you're a prick. Yeah,
Right.
That's what I like because it stays consistent with the, hey, AJ, looks like I'm at your house.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, you don't do that. Like, that kind of theme I love about the Samoa Joe character.
And the main event we'll hit on a little bit more here in the next segment because I think it's part of what your favorite thing is, and I'll touch on some things that I liked of it too. So I think unless you've got anything else about SmackDown that sticks out to you, all right. So we will come back after a quick break. Got to get some water and let some out, and then we'll come back to the Spanish announce table.
Fun fact, it was Shawn Michaels who gave Daniel Bryan the name The American Dragon.
The Spanish announce table.
Tom, this is a segment we like to do occasionally where we talk about, we pick out our favorite things of the week and go a little bit more long form in depth on it than we would in the earlier segments. Before we touch on that, one of my favorite things of the week is some of the improvements we've been making over there at the Spanish Announce merch table.
Yes.
cafepress.com/Spanish Announce Table, or you go directly to SpanishAnnounceTable.net, and up on the upper top of the website there's all the links to all the things, right? The podcast, the about page, all that kind of stuff. There's one that says merch table. You go there and you can get all kinds of fun stuff, man, and I am not done yet. So right now we've got some shirts and some hoodies up, but a lot more to come yet because I have to kind of load these designs up in certain ways, and I could probably be doing it smarter, but it's taking me a little bit of time. So deal with it, but keep checking it out.
It's great.
By the time it's all said and done, there's going to be hats, buttons, clocks, mouse pads, whatever you want to, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to get. Right now, there's definitely some shirts. So that's a way you can help support this show. I've priced these things at a little, guys, we're going to make $3 to $5 off a shirt, right? So the rest is going to Cafe Press, but you're going to get a shirt. We get something. So we always ask, give us $1, tableshow@gmail.com, on PayPal, which is something you can absolutely do. But some people like to get something for their money. So, you know what I mean? You go buy one of these shirts, and there's good quality stuff coming out here. We've bought some of our own stuff before really pushing this thing, right? I mean, they send you good quality stuff. Good, you know what I mean? Stands up to the wash, all that kind of jazz. So,
and on top of that, you don't have to wait for Tim to send out the shirt.
Shipped directly to you. They handle on their secure pay sites, all that stuff. You don't got to wait on me to send it to you. So keep checking back on that. But all kinds of new stuff, not just this logo that we used to have up there. We used to just have like the shirt, right?
And it's awesome.
Yeah, get the shirt,
that shirt's awesome. Be like Adam Pearson and buy the shirt. But if you also have some other fun designs other than that you want to check out, we have those there too. You can get it in a hoodie form or a T-shirt form.
Yep, and more to follow. So, yeah, but we'll get into our favorite things of the week. And I want to go a little more in-depth on this Baron Corbin situation we've got. And I've talked about this before, Tom. I like kind of what they're doing with Alexa Bliss and Baron Corbin. You've got somebody injured or for whatever reason, hey, man, he needs some mic work, but it's tough to get him out there for anybody to care when he keeps losing because he needs the more work, right? So these roles are good for that, right? They don't have to go and lose all the time, and they've just got this undue power that can put themselves in good situations all the time, right? Works perfect for Baron Corbin. He's gotten light years better from when he started this. And I like specifically what they're doing here with this, right? Like, he's now got this shot where he could have this long term, right? And so this whole kind of, hey, you better be on my good side because, boy, if I pull this off, right, the one-armed man or whatever it is, right, like I'm going to have full control of Raw and you better be on my side because I'm going to remember this, right? Like, so you start getting these weird alliances. You start getting this, I don't know, man, and just the weird things he's doing, like with Heath Slater and Rhino. Like, you could just go so many different angles with it, right? And so I like it. I like where, and you know, he's messing with some people, like with the Renegade was like, hey, don't make it seem like I'm always just this asshole who's always screwing you over. Like, hey, right? So, I don't know. I like where this is going. What are your thoughts on it?
I definitely like it. And one thing that I also like about it is because it almost seems like, as you said, you know, hey, you better be on Baron Corbin's good side because when he does get this full-time position, he's going to remember all the things that were said, good and bad, about him, right? But then as a viewer, the cool thing is, but if he doesn't get this job, then all the bad things that he did and good things that he did will have consequences, right? And so there's a payoff for the viewer to say, like, well, it's just not a evil authority figure because, you know, how many times in pro wrestling have we seen that? Vince McMahon, you know, Vicky Guerrero, the list goes on and on. But with this, it feels like there's stakes to it, right? So he could become commissioner or he could be back in the locker room with the rest of them. And so either way, we're going to see this outcome, and it could go either way as the viewer, right? Like, he could not get the job, and then, oh, my God, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, you know, both heels and faces. The heels hate him because, hey, man, you didn't come through and become the, you know, GM that we wanted. And then the faces hate him because, hey, we remember what you did to me. And now we can tell a fun story with the consequences of all of his, you know, horrible behavior as this interim GM. So I like that it's not just Stephanie McMahon or GM, and the only payoff is they're fired. Well, who fucking cares, right?
Yeah, I'd give it to him. I would find a way to give it to him because you can always take it off with any reason, right? Oh, we found out he was making the girls, you know what I mean, send him nude pictures.
He was embezzling money.
Right, yeah, you can always, you always figure something out. I'd give it to him because I'd take this on a little longer because I feel like that's a thing that can touch into what you had with the McMahon-Austin thing, right? People identify with somebody who we don't know how they got this position, but they've got undue power in this giant corporation, and they just just roll over everybody and just create everything that benefits them, right? Like, so then that's building to somebody, right? Like you could have, I don't know, a Dean Ambrose guy turns into that, right? Like, he's the moral compass. He's calling out all the bullshit, right? Like, I mean, I can see the crowd getting behind that, or maybe Seth Rollins takes on that role or something, right?
Yeah.
Same face. Like, I'd give it to him for a while and run with it for a while, because I'm not itching to see Baron Corbin just back as a regular old competitor, dude. Like, there hadn't been enough payoff for that yet.
Yeah, I'm not either, because I do like this role better than what he was doing before. And I also don't necessarily want to see bland, no character Kurt Angle back in this role, because he's great. But when he's just told to say the town and you suck, it's just like
Sasha,
Mick Foley,
you have a match now.
Right. Yeah. But I like the payoff potentially that they could do, because he is young, he's still a competitor, where, like I said, when Vicky gets fired, well, that was cool and that's a fun moment, but then the next week we move on. Well, we can tell an awesome storyline with a authority figure who loses their authority and now has to go back to their job where they said it reminds me a lot of like when you get a new job, but before you quit, you tell everyone at your old job, like, you guys are losers. I'm out of here and I'm never coming back. And then they go to the new job and they get fired and they have to like come back and be like, so like, are you guys hiring? And then you're like, nope. Fuck you, pal.
Your sign says hiring out front. Be like, no, we meant to take that down. Sorry. Forgot. We're too busy because you weren't fucking here.
Yeah, we can tell the story of your actions have consequences. Now you have to pay for your sins, and no one likes you, right?
Right.
You're alienated from everyone. We're being told that you have to change in the bathroom because you're not allowed in the locker room for all the bullshit you did as GM. Like, there's a fun story to tell after all of the things you do as a GM.
Can't find a tag team partner for tonight's tag team match, so you're going to have to go out there and face AOP alone because nobody wants right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's great, but I think it made even better if we let this roll on a little more and give him more of that authority run, right?
Give this whole like, hey guys, I'm young, rich, and powerful, and I do what I want when I want. And guess what? AOP, you're taking on Finn Balor. And then, Finn, if you do win, we're putting you through a gauntlet. So then you got to take on The Bar or whoever, and just, all
and this
of these
is where you can get
a
suspenseful show back again, right? With the what will happen next week is you start getting the backroom politic power struggles with his cronies, right? Who's stabbing who in the back?
Right.
Who's got the real project, right? Who's he using to get one over? Oh, all that could be there.
Yeah, Leo Rush knows the slip ups of a Baron Corbin, so now Leo Rush is trying to politic his way to get Bobby Lashley into the title picture. Will it work? Will it won't? That's a story we can tell.
And then who knows what people use to sweeten the deal with Corbin, right? What is he like? What's he really out for? What makes him tick, right? Like, there's all kinds of fun stuff.
And then you could even go babyface with it, right? Where he goes like, guys, I've been losing my way, blah, 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 blah. And then
look at me. I've got this great position of power and I'm abusing it.
I should be doing good. Yeah.
Mom is right.
Have him do right. And then you could have him do a quick babyface thing and then go like, but this wasn't fucking fun. I want the limos again. And then he goes right back into heel. And then that's when he gets fired because Stephanie was like, you motherfucker, right?
Yeah, Ric Flair convinces him to go back to the limos, right? Yeah. Like, yeah. It could be great, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, so far I'm liking it. It's the most intriguing thing of the week to me that isn't like, I mean, there's other things that are good, like you said, on SmackDown and things, but this is the newest thing that's making me go like, well, hey, man, this could be really big if they play it right.
Yeah, and we hope that it will. And I agree. I like it for the potential, right? And one of the things that I bought in on this storyline was the new wrinkle where he said, hey, Heath Slater, you're not going to be a wrestler. You're going to be a ref. Now, if he starts doing these more out-of-the-box things other than it's a 2-on-1 match, it's a 3-on-1 match, and he says, hey, Finn, go join Heath Slater. You're a ref now too. Like, what the fuck, really? And then we have some intrigue because we've never really seen that as a week by week story. We've seen the one night, Stone Cold has to be the ref Stone Cold has to be the ref for a match between Triple H and Undertaker for the title, whatever. But if we're saying like, no, this is your new role, well, what's the end game there? What's the end story there? That's what I like. Let's hope for the best.
All right. So what is your favorite thing of the
Daniel freaking Bryan. Like I said, my criticism is now mute. You've convinced me of what he said makes sense.
Yeah.
But wow, is he cool. I mean, not cool in the sense of like, I want to be that way. And I agree, don't go the CJ Parker route. But hey, the yes side plates on the title, that's stupid.
Oh,
so
yeah, end all of it. Don't do the no chant. Don't do the yes chant.
Well,
it's all got to. Yeah,
he took the side plates off.
Threw them down.
So now it's just a blank.
It's all got to be done. Right.
Yeah.
Don't even, you hate that. Right? You hate the yes and no chance.
And he's so diabolical and almost like a step ahead of everyone to where it felt like during the promo with The Miz, where Miz was like, you're just doing what I told you. And then they were doing the what thing. And he's
Which
like,
I loved.
Right. But
I love that The Miz is still hung up about him. Anyway.
Yeah. It's consistent with the story, right? It's Miz saying, see? You jackass, I've been telling you this for years. Yeah.
Right.
And it's another extension. It's another chapter in their 10-year storyline, like you said. But going back to the promo specifically, it almost felt like Daniel Bryan was trying to bait the crowd into saying what, just so that he could get the line of, you idiot sheep, right? And you're like, you asshole. Like, because yes, he is exactly right, but I don't want him to be right.
Right.
I want the what chant to be fun. It's not, but he's completely right in what he said. And so, just like you said with I kicked one guy in the dick, guess what? You guys are destroying this earth. What's worse? Well, fuck.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh, hey, yeah, but man, we're here. We're talking about this, not that, asshole. And you'd be like, really? Is that a hamburger? Is meat? And you're like, dude, fuck off. Right? Like that. Yeah, you don't like that guy. Yeah, because he's like just copping out, right?
Right. Yeah, and he's using a great argumentative tactic that shouldn't work, but everyone uses. It's called whataboutism, right? I've talked about this in the past, I think on Tim and Tom and not on this podcast, where, if you say, hey, Tim, or like if you say to me, hey, man, you need to show up to record this podcast on time. And I say, well, yeah, Tim. Well, what about all the times that you never text back? Like that has nothing to do with the one and the same, but it could be true. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not a tactic that, has logical sense, but it's a emotional response that you have. He uses whataboutism perfect so far. And his look, he's not wearing the damn Daniel Bryan t-shirt. He just looks like a guy who's like, this shit is stupid.
I called it, what did I say to myself? I said he looks like a Kurt Cobain themed Raven right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's great. I love it. And I like that he's calling himself the new Daniel Bryan. He should stick with that for a little bit too, right? The new Daniel Bryan. Get pissed when anybody calls him anything but that.
Yeah, and he made and the other thing that I like about him, and again, I wish Dean Ambrose would steal a page from this, but the viciousness, right? So the end of SmackDown was he beats up AJ Styles, leaves the ring, like you said, makes the ring announcer call him the new Daniel Bryan, but then goes back into the ring to beat up AJ Styles more. And this one move that I think Kushida uses in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but now Daniel Bryan's taking it, but where he holds both of their hands and just fucking stomps on their head, that is a dickhead move, and I like it. I mean, I don't. Right? Like, I hate it, but I'm supposed to hate it. It's not like a Nia Jax is a fucking bad wrestler move. This is a dickhead move, and that's perfect. Everything that he's doing. Going back to what you said about The Miz, he didn't necessarily concede to The Miz, but he didn't tell The Miz that he was wrong, right?
Yeah.
And that's a cool little storyline where, again, it adds another chapter.
Well,
I think, again, the long play here is Shane McMahon turns heel on Miz. Miz goes babyface. Daniel Bryan gets past AJ Styles, and then fill in the blank. And then at WrestleMania, we get babyface Miz versus heel Daniel Bryan.
And
I think
that's the
play.
great thing about this is for what 10 years now. I mean, like, how long has this been happening? I mean, 8 probably at least of this storyline. That now it'll flip, right? And we've seen some sprinklings of them going like, all right, yeah, okay, right? Like I get it. All right, cool. I can see what you're saying. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a day too where those two unite on something, and it's just whether it's heel or babyface is going to be huge. It's great. I love that. I love where he's at now. This is the favorite Daniel Bryan I've ever seen. Because we've talked about this a lot, right? But when the first stuff of the Occupy stuff was happening, right, he was really catching fire then.
That was perfect.
I really liked that, but I didn't necessarily like him as much. I liked the movement, and I liked that people were finally going like, no, enough, right? Like,
and
enough with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then he was the guy. I was like, all right, cool, fine. I'm fine with him. Like, it doesn't bother me at all, right? Like, but I never was like a Daniel Bryan guy. Right now, this is the most I've ever been like, yeah, I like that. I want to see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm a Daniel Bryan guy. I like the Yes movement. I was a part of that Occupy thing. I had the T-shirt. I liked all of his merchandise with the Yes in his face and all of that. But I agree. This Daniel Bryan is a dickhead. And one thing, hopefully, if you've read the book, his autobiography, which is fantastic. It's
about
perfect.
halfway through.
However,
still get that back to you soon.
Oh, that's fine. I'm talking more to the general
Yes, I know.
listeners here. But one thing that, as you kind of read it, you're like, okay, preachy asshole, I get it. Like what he said about the earth. It's like, okay, I'll fucking plant a garden. Now, would you just shut the fuck up and wrestle? Like, not shut up and dribble, but you know what I mean? A little bit along those lines.
Right.
When he's playing those things up, he's kind of unlikable, and it fits because you're like, I agree with you, but he feels very smug.
Yes, and
naturally.
Unintentionally so. There's a difference.
Like,
like I've tried to talk to some people about like an unintentional conceit, and it fits there, right? It fits. It's that thing where people are like, oh, a vegan and a CrossFitter are walking in a room, and neither one of them will shut up about it, right? Like, right, like it's that like, hey man, like I get where you're coming from. Is this great thing, and you think it's so great that you want to share it with the world because you think it would be great for them also. That's not how the people receive it, and that's something they taught us a lot in communication school. Is that you probably talked about the medium is the message. It's that in that book and work is that it doesn't matter what the message from you, the giver of the message, is at all. Once it's left you, it no longer matters what you intended, what it was nothing matters because it will be on who receives it, how they received it. Right? Like once you send that message out, it's done, and you can no longer control anything about it. So, right? So for good or for bad, and that's kind of where we're at. Yeah.
Well, and to go along a little bit more with Daniel Bryan specifically, if you go back to his Talking Smack days when he was the GM, he would have so many of those one-liner zingers to the heels where he was like, well, hey, heel, you said this, but I caught you in this lie. And you were like, well, that's good. But then when he can use that same ability as a heel, it makes him more unlikable, which he obviously has that trait, which we saw in Talking Smack. So, I'm just a total fan of everything Daniel Bryan's doing. I did have that criticism, but like I said, Tim, you talked me out of it because it makes sense of what he's saying. Well, now, hopefully he just goes forward with that.
Right.
And so for this week on, the first week of December 2018, the year of the new idea, I'm in on it. Now, if he just goes into the CJ Parker, well, that'll fucking suck.
Yeah,
but
I didn't even take it.
I love it.
I didn't even take it either of those ways. I just kind of thought of that as you were bringing it up, and I was like, well, if he doesn't use it as like his starting point, right? If he throws it in only in that responsive way as like a cop out of like, right, great, perfect, even better, do more of it.
Definitely agree.
We'll see. Yeah, I definitely like this. I think he's hot right now. Hitting on all cylinders, man. Yeah, I like him. He looks sexy with that beard. So
he should walk out to Even Flow. That's the only thing I would add to it. If we didn't have copyright things, Even Flow. He looks like Eddie Vedder.
You know what I would even do too is I'd go full like a Mumford and Sons, like hipster, like just something that's but like a cliche version of that, right? Like some kind of like jug band, contemporary guy. Like picture a guy with a beard and boots, and like the coffee shop I told you about earlier, right? Yeah, like whatever music that shit is.
Yep.
My apologies to anybody who listens to that. Like whatever all that is, he should come out to that.
It would be perfect in a perfect world scenario, even though he'd be stealing this idea from the heel goat in 2018. But if he could get enough booze, it would make sense, like you said, with the hipster thing, that he didn't even have a song.
Right.
A theme song? Who do you think I am? Coco Beware, I just dance for you?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
play music.
stupid. Like, why
out.
are we even doing this? Like,
Yeah.
you guys, like, I gotta tell some guy to cue up my music? Like, stuff.
Right. Now, that's stealing from Tommaso Ciampa.
But he doesn't do that anymore. He has music
Right,
now.
he doesn't do that anymore. But, Tommaso Ciampa, the heel god, this year.
Or, here's what you do with Daniel Bryan. You do whatever, like, the most basic thing that would make a musician call it a song, right? If it's 3 chords that just play in succession or whatever, right? The most basic tonal thing. So it's just like a ding. No, I mean like just of notes of like a.
Oh yeah.
Like just so it's just like ding, right? Like just something knowingly fucking, and he'll be like, "That's music. That's technically music. It's no different than what you guys are throwing out here. It doesn't make any sense either." You know what I mean? Like, why am I burning what down, right? Like, I mean, just goes into all of it, right? Like, this is no different, right? Like, yeah, it's like they said I needed music. This is the bare minimum that music has to be, right? Like, just get off me,
I like
right?
that.
Like,
that'd be a good idea.
It could be something, right? Because then everybody would hate that when they hear that, right? Just some, I don't know, something like that. But we'll see, man. It looks to be going good, and it leaves me wanting to know what will happen next week, right?
Agreed.
And speaking of that, what will happen next week? Well, another episode of the Spanish Announce Table, right? We just keep rolling along like WWE, only better. But we'll be back next week with another one of the Spanish Announce Table.
Fun fact, a group of ferrets is called a business.
The Spanish Announce Table.